Okay. So I haven't slept much. Feel awful. I didn't do much work today. So I guess today is a nice day to just chill for a tiny bit. By the way, yesterday I got 10 polychromes from the dog. Oh. My bad.
Down one for complaints. If you spot an Ethereum, leave it to me. Incoming. Proceed. Switching to my move. Icy edge.
What the fuck?
Sorry for the wait, dear. Forward. Turn around. The Qingming's might rends the heavens.
It has potential. This one doesn't. Doesn't have no proficiency. Okay, this is.
Switching to break. I'm ready. Leave it to me. The sword follows my will and winds howl in the heavens. Frost glistens. Radiant cloud.
I forget the combo all the time. Same. No. Bullshit. Electric damage bonus for user damage. No. Would you look at that? Ether double crit. That's nice. Not for this set, but you know, going early. Okay. Let's see. Into board. Let's go to the throne.
Sleep well. This stage
A
is
little
mine.
reward. Don't worry, one swing will do.
Got one for Station lightning strike. Forward.
The next page is the ending. That's as far as you go.
Got one for complaints.
Oh, my turn now.
Like a shadow.
Let's cool things down.
Bye-bye. Let's have something on the back. Where's that? I guess here. Severance. LG 2 hours ago. Green star in the moon. Museum. Why American banners have parking lots? So true.
Hello. You may have heard that while I was sick and doing chemo, I started writing a stand-up comedy special, and then I recorded that special in Los Angeles, and soon it's going to be coming out on Dropout TV, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically a streaming service for a certain kind of nerd. Independent, funny, ad-free, original comedy series you won't find anywhere else. That's definitely true. And my comedy is going to happen on it. But this made me think about a thing that I've always wanted to make a video about that I've never made a video about, which is that you should never subscribe to something through an app on your phone. This is a no, you should never do it, and I want to talk about why. So let's start with Dropout. Let's see what it costs you to sign up for Dropout. $60 a year, $6 a month. That's what it's going to cost me if I'm going to become a Dropout subscriber. Though I think it's a coupon code for a full year where you can get a discount. And if I go and I subscribe on my phone, it costs the exact same amount, but that's weird because that is not the case for our little friend YouTube Premium. I asked recently on Twitter, on request, if you are not a YouTube Premium subscriber, can you go to subscribe and then send me a screenshot of how much it says it costs. Here is Skylar, who says like this, and it costs $13.99 to sign up through the app on Android. And then we've got Kimmy. It says $18.99 a month if you sign up through the app on iOS, so on the Apple operating system. And then we keep scrolling down, we find some people who did it on the regular old internet, just went to youtube.com, try 1 month for $0, but it is $13.99 a month. So why was it so much more expensive for Kimmy than for everybody else? And April is mad. I'm jealous of these $13.99 replies. I've been a premium subscriber for a while and I pay $19 a month. What's going on? Why is April paying $19 a month? This is frustrating for me in particular because ow, I hit my freaking funny bone. Ooh. Now, this is frustrating for me in particular because I want people to sign up for YouTube Premium, and it is wild to me that they can't say why this is happening. They won't say why it's happening, and yet they are doing it anyway. And if it's on Android or the internet, it's $14 a month. Whereas if it's through the App Store, Apple app, or YouTube, the YouTube app on the Apple App Store, it's $19 a month. Why is this? It's because both Apple and Android take a 30% cut of absolutely every dollar that gets sent through their ecosystem. Now, not absolutely. There are weird exceptions. For example, YouTube is owned by Google, which also owns Android, and so they don't charge YouTube the extra percentage. Or if they do, they don't care that they charge it because they get that money anyway. To illustrate, I think we should open fucking sheets. Gotta create a new sheet here, you guys. Don't subscribe through your phone. We're gonna do a few different case studies here, and it's gonna help us understand what's going on. So Dropout is $6, $6, $6. No matter where you subscribe, it's $6 a month. Audible, let's go buy some extra credits on audible.com. The most popular is 3 extra credits for $37.99. Let's see, that's $38. So we're just gonna do 3 credits for $38 on the internet. And on the App Store, let's buff that puppy open. What are we doing? I don't know how to do this. I guess I go to my profile, probably. I go to my profile, maybe? I don't know. How do you do it? They're going to be $40. That's interesting. And I don't have the Android number. Whereas Spotify, I also did a little bit of research out to people. I was like, hey, take those screenshots of the Spotify situation. And we did. And there are a number of interesting things going on here. So this person posted, you can get it for $10.99. And I was like, okay, that's the normal price that you pay on the internet. And then I said, where do you live? I live in America, so it's not at a different place. Click that button and then see what happens. It takes you to what this person called the normal payment page. And it says you can pay for your premium plan directly through Spotify or using your Google Play account. So Google Play then is $10.99. So internet is $11. Google Play is $11. But if you are on iOS and you go to subscribe, you get 1 premium account, cancel anytime. You can't upgrade to premium in the app. We know it's not ideal. What? Spotify's solution to this problem is with Google, they have worked at a deal where Google doesn't charge them any extra for Spotify specifically. Dropout pays that cut, but Spotify doesn't. Why? I don't know. But they worked it out. But Apple did not work out this deal with Spotify, so it is unpurchasable. You cannot do it. But they can't tell you why. You can't upgrade to premium in the app. We know it's not ideal. They can't say go to the internet. They definitely can't say, because obviously YouTube would. It's $19 if you buy it through the app, but $14 if you go to youtube.com and buy it. Because Apple is charging a tax. whereas Android isn't charging the tax on the YouTube thing because Android and YouTube are owned by the same company. Now, what I will say is there's kind of like one good thing about subscribing to stuff through your phone, and it is that you can go and look at the things that you are subscribed to through your phone all in one place. So what am I subscribed to? I'm subscribed to How Jay Say pronunciation guides, because that's very important to my job. New York Times Audio, Apple TV Plus, Find Me Gluten Free, All Trails, Clean Up for cleaning up my phone storage, which, and then last year, Dropout, because I did this before I realized this situation and I paid for a whole year. This is actually very nice to have. It shows me all of these subscriptions I have in one place. I can just go in and I can cancel them, and that's nice. That's a service that I feel like is being provided. I just don't think it's worth 30% of the money I'm paying these companies for Apple to take it before it gets to the company. For my subscriptions outside of the Apple ecosystem, I don't have a list like this that is as easy to find, but I can sign up for Rocket Money. This video is brought to you by Rocket Money. It's the money app that works for you. It is very important to have a handle on your money, to understand what's coming in and what. Then I just wouldn't have and managed a thing that you don't want to be subscribed to anymore is extremely useful. Rocket Money can also help renegotiate your bills for you, which is wild. You can set budgets, stay on top of your habits, and save money for the future with Rocket Money. Rocket Money has helped save customers up to $740 a year. They have saved over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. To save more and to get started today. So I wanted to make sure that this was actually the case, so I texted the CEO of Dropout, because of course I know this man now, which is very cool. For confirmation, if I subscribe to Dropout on my phone or online, it costs the same amount, but you get a different amount. And he replies, if you subscribe using Apple or Android, we make 70% as much versus direct. Are you kidding me? That just seems like such a ridiculous situation to be in. The question is, why not do it like Spotify, where Spotify just says you cannot sign up on your phone? It's just not worth it for us to be sending those 30% out to Apple, so just don't do it. Which is honestly ridiculous. I know roughly how much Spotify pays to record labels. They pay about $7 of every subscription goes directly to actually license the music. And so if Spotify costs $11, they only have one choice. They cannot have 3 of those dollars go away first and then spend 7 of them, because that's all of the money. They simply can't do it. Like, that's not on the table for them. Having somebody sign up unless they charged more, and they couldn't say, this is what's really frustrating for me. They can't say it's cheaper, it's against the terms of service of the App Store. It's cheaper if you do it somewhere else. Here, you can do it here if you want, if you're just lazy. Like, sometimes I buy an Audible credit on my phone, even though I know it's more expensive, because it's not that much more expensive, because I'm lazy. So if I'm lazy, you could have the extra money. That goes to Apple. But you can't say that. It's against Apple's terms of service, and they are now, of course, suing each other over this, I'm pretty sure. Spotify, Apple soup. Oh, wow. Yeah, so this is frequently asked questions. This is the 30%. What is Spotify is getting messy here. Ooh. Apple seeks to impose a 30% tax on competitors like Spotify that use the App Store's in-purchase service. If we use it, we have to increase prices for consumers. Yes. But to offset the 30% tax, Spotify initially raised our prices from 10 euros to 13 euros per month, but then Apple Music launched at 10 euros, and I wanted to murder someone. That is textbook anti-competitive behavior. There's this thing that other people have to pay. They cannot have a product, because Spotify and Apple Music are paying the same deals to the record labels. It's $7 for both of them. Apple can have that be profitable because they don't have to pay the tax. They can have to be profitable at $10, whereas Spotify cannot be profitable at $10 because they have to send 30% of the money to Apple before they get their bit that they then have to send to artists and record labels. Textbook bullshit. The question then is, why does Dropout cost the same on the internet or the App Store or Android? So the Dropout cut here, they're making $4.2 per month. And then interestingly with Audible, that's wild. They're making $28 if you do it on the App Store, but they are making $38 if you do it online. So the cost is a little higher, but the amount that they make is much lower. Well, then why am I paying $38 on the internet if it only costs you $28? Give me a better deal, Audible. And this isn't a one-time thing. This is absolutely every time you get charged. Every time you pay that subscription, Apple is getting $1.80 and Dropout is getting $4.20. Hello, I'm editing this video right now, and I got more information from the CEO of Dropout. Apparently, this is just context. It doesn't really change the argument at all, but after a year of a subscription, the App Store's cut goes down to 15%. So at first, it's 30%, but once you're subscribed for a year, then it's 15%. And on the Play Store, it's always 15% for subscription, which is a relatively new change. And they are making these changes specifically because it is very clearly anti-competitive behavior for them to take a subscription, where it's not like a one-time payment to take a subscription payment and be like, I'm going to take like 30% of that money every time. So there have been some changes, but I felt like it was a big enough deal for me to include it here. Okay, back to the video. The question is it worth it for Dropout to get you to subscribe instead of having a little note in the app that says you cannot subscribe on the app? You have to go subscribe. But you can't even say you have to go subscribe on the internet. You can just say you can't subscribe on the app. That's what Spotify does. So it would just have to be a note like this, like you can't subscribe to Dropout TV in the app. We know it's not ideal. You figure it out. So there are two outcomes when you subscribe to something on your phone. One, like either you spend more money, as in the case of YouTube Premium, so you are spending $19 a month. Actually, I'm very suddenly interested in this. If you subscribe to it on the...
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm a therapist. I also meet the criteria for ADHD, and I've had to
later. I'm gonna talk to you later.
You're in the cinema, about to watch yet another sequel to a forgotten franchise nobody asked for. You're getting popcorn and a drink to drown out your Jared Leto-induced sorrow with a sugar rush. You pay and they hand you a cup. Then you see it, glowing red and chrome, the Coca-Cola Freestyle Fountain. Here, you can choose between over 100 different flavors. Cherry Vanilla Coke, Peach Sprite, maybe you'll...
Okay, you're not gonna say things again, right? That's really unfortunate. Oh. Another 10? Probably not enough. Yeah.
People keep saying to me, when are we going to do MMT? Or modern monetary theory, which is what those initials stand for. But that's the wrong question to ask. MMT is not a policy. It's an explanation of how money works. And in that case, the claim that we're waiting to do MMT is a misunderstanding. It's not a manifesto. MMT is an explanation. It describes the real monetary system we already live in. When are we going to do MMT? Now. We're doing it today, is my answer to that question. But the point is, most people don't understand that. And I want to clear up this basic confusion in this video. MMT does not tell us what we want to do or what we should do. MMT tells us what is true about money and about how government spending actually happens. That's its purpose. The big error that people make is that they think that MMT is a program or a set of promises or a print money and spend initiative. But MMT is not a policy proposal. It's a framework for understanding the monetary reality of the world we live in. Let me make a simple comparison. Think of physics. Gravity explains what happens. It's called a theory, by the way, and it does not then tell you whether to jump off a cliff. MMT is like that. It's also a theory, but just like gravity, modern monetary theory explains how the economy works, but it doesn't write your budget for you or tell you what your politics should be. And this is really important. MMT describes what money is, how government spending occurs, what taxation does, why borrowing is different for states and households, and what constrains government in reality. And this is important because most people don't understand those things. So let's start off with the fact that MMT makes clear that government creates our currency. In a sovereign currency system, the state is the issuer of our money, and that's true in the UK. Our government creates the pound. It does not get its money from anywhere else. It makes it. It creates the money that we get when it spends. And unless the government spends and creates deficits, there is no government-created money in our economy. And that's really important, because government-created money is the bedrock on which everything runs. Then, and this is also important, when the government has created money, it has to control that money's supply, because in the UK each year the government spends well over £1 trillion. And of course we cannot have an increase in the money supply of that amount in the UK economy each year, or we would have hyperinflation. And so the government has to create a tool that controls that risk of inflation, and it has got that tool. It's called tax. That's it. That's what tax does. Tax does not fund government spending. It can't, because the spending has already been paid for by creating an overdraft between the government and the Bank of England. Instead, tax is used to reclaim the money that the government has spent, to bring it back into the Bank of England, to cancel that overdraft, and to therefore control inflation. Everything else flows from that fact. There are lots of interpretations that flow from this, and they're really important. The mainstream media story is that the government spends the taxpayers' money, and that government borrows money from the financial markets, and that deficits are irresponsible, and that the state must balance its books, and the state is like a household. The fact is that every single one of those stories is wrong. Households use currencies, governments issue currencies. They are therefore fundamentally different. Households can, as we all know, run out of money. Governments can always make payments in their own currency because they can always create the currency in question. The consequence is that managing a household and managing a government are utterly different things. And this is not a political claim. It is a simple observational operational fact. These are different activities, and the sooner our politicians, the sooner our economists, and the sooner our commentators realise this, the better off we will all be, because we'll get better economic policy as a consequence. So, how does state spend?
I wanted to prove to myself that I was a profound and deep artist. And I was gonna do that by writing a screenplay and making a movie that I would share with other people. And those other people would finally see me as this deeply endearing artist. And that I would be famous. And that I would no longer feel unlovable. We put it in theaters. It's still in theaters. And I realized that I am none of those things. And that doing this was incredibly disappointing because it proved none of those things to me.
Did you come to see the movie? I'm in it, you know.
No, Genshin is removing content.
Do you remember 4-star character hangouts? The last one we got was with Lynette in version 4.5, which was released in March of 2024, almost 2 years ago. If you are on social media, you may have seen the official Genshin Impact accounts post character birthday art. You would get one full illustration and one little chibi artwork. As of Jean-Louis' birthday on the last day of 2025, we are no longer getting chibi artworks. Most characters get a trailer and a demo these days, but in the past we used to get character miscellany episodes. The last one was for Dahlia's. That was released over half a year ago. So what's going on? Why are we seemingly losing content? I've seen some players say that's due to laziness, but there might be more going on. And to be fair, Genshin Impact has added new gameplay modes such as Stygian Onslaught and the new Miliastria Wonderland over the years, but we've lost content too. Content that seemed to be loved by the fans. I have no way of determining why we don't get these things anymore. Only someone from the Hoyoverse.
When I started lifting, I was introduced to a concept called RPE, rate of perceived exertion, which is really just a fancy term for how did that set feel? That was a puzzling question at first, partially because everything feels hard when you're trying to do it for the first time, and partially because I had been purposefully out of touch with the answer to that question. In and out of the gym for a very long time, because the answer to how do I feel physically in my body, about my body.
Come on.
Internet or on Android, it's $14 a month. YouTube is making less than that with the $19 a month in the App Store. So they're making $13.30. Apple is making almost $6 off of people signing up for YouTube, which Apple has nothing to do with. But it apparently is worthwhile for YouTube to have that option available because people would otherwise not as easily sort of move from the I would like to subscribe to actually subscribing. And so they just charge you more. They charge you more and then they make less. Dropout charges you the same and then they make much less. So either we're in a situation where you are paying extra and Apple's getting a bunch of extra money, or you are paying the same amount and the people who are actually providing the service for you, the content that you like, whether it's Turtles All the Way Down on Max, or it's my special on Dropout, or it's an audiobook on Audible, those people are getting less money and Apple's just taking 30%. So we just need to stop. It's bad. It's not a good idea to buy things through the App Store. I get the idea. It's that Apple created this thing. They created this thing, right? They created this beautiful, amazing, remarkable device, which I'm not showing you because there's a picture of my son when I open it. And they created the App Store, and they maintain the App Store, and they make sure that the stuff on the App Store.
By the iridescent moon, darkness shall be cast deeper into the shadows.
Oh. Neat.
Is good and that it's not going to hurt you and that people have a lot of trust in the system and all that's valuable. So I get that they should take a cut. I just don't get that they should take the cuts the way that they're taking the cuts. And I also don't get why they won't just let people say, hey, if you don't want to use the App Store ecosystem, you can come buy this thing that's obviously credible because it's frickin' Spotify or YouTube. Come buy it somewhere else where you don't have to pay this 30% tax. And I also find it frustrating that with like Apple Music and Apple TV Plus, that they can have these products that are like 30% cheaper than everybody else's products, and YouTube's doing the same thing over on Android, where it's cheaper to get it on Android than it is on Apple because Google isn't charging YouTube that extra money, and they're also for some reason not charging Spotify, which is weird, and I would love to know why. Why? What is that about? A secret Google deal lets Spotify completely bypass Android's App Store fees. When was this that came out? 2023? Fairly recently. 0% commission fees when it uses its own payment processor, or just 4% when it uses the Pay with Google. Oh my God, this is a mess! It was a secret? Google fought to keep the Spotify numbers private during its antitrust fight with Epic, saying that they could damage negotiations because Epic also has to pay that thing, and Epic and Google are having a lawsuit about it because Epic was like literally to the thing where they were like, hey, just go buy it somewhere else, and that was against the terms of service, and then blah blah blah. They had to have a big fight about it. Google acknowledged Harrison's testimony and said a small number of developers that invest more directly in Android and Play may have different service fees as part of a broader partnership. This is so mealy-mouthed. These key investment partnerships allow us to bring more users to Android and Play. They're like, because here's what happened. Spotify was like, fine, we won't be on your platform anymore. We just won't have the app there. And Google was like, okay, fine, you don't have to share money.
They call this a pleasant surprise, right?
Which, wouldn't that be wild to wake up one day and Spotify's like, nah, I'm not gonna. We're like on. Oh man, I don't know. Wouldn't you think that Apple would be like, great, more people will sign up for YouTube Music then? Maybe not. I don't know. It's a mess. I'm glad I'm not in charge. All this is to say that it may be that you're signing up for Dropout sometime in the near future because you want to see my stand-up special. And in that case, I think you should go to Dropout TV's website and subscribe there, and then link your phone so that you can watch it on your phone later. And have the money go to the good people at Dropout, who are amazing and who I like very much, instead of going to Apple, who have enough money. If there's anything you can say about Apple, it's that they have enough money. Again, thank you to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video. If you want to check it out, it's rocketmoney.com/HankGreen. And that's the end. rocketmoney.com/HankGreen.
Hurry up, Brassa!
No, I did not forget about ZZZ, alright? I just been working on a lot of Enfield stuff, and because of this, I'm not posting as many videos as I usually like to do. Enfield is releasing really soon, so I want to make sure that things are ready for it. We also have a rerun banner, a different one here on ZZZ, a banner that is going to feature 3 different units, and you can pick the one that you want to pull, and these being Alice, Astra, and Soldier MB. I own all of 3. I use a lot of these 3 characters, so I know exactly the value that these characters can provide for your account, and this is exactly what I like to talk in these Should You Pull videos. I like to go over these characters, how they work, the value they can provide for you, so you can make the decision and pick the right option for your account, because each account is a different one. All right, so I'm not going to yap too much on this video because I'm pretty sure that you probably already have your answer. You're just looking to someone to confirm your thoughts. All right, we have some calculations here, but not so much. But before I begin, a quick word from today's sponsor. Listen, we both know how important it is when it comes to saving money on these gacha games, and that's where LD Shop comes in. LDShop.gg is a top-up platform that offers massive discounts and good prices for a lot of membership from packs $80 in a single month. You get a coupon that allows you to get one of those monthly memberships for free. And start saving money using Elder Shop. Thanks Elder Shop for sponsoring this video. Alright, so before talking about the characters themselves, I want to point out that there's a thing that a lot of people are like overlooking about this banner, is that this banner right here, it doesn't share the same pity as other banners. Because for example, right here we have two different banners, you know, usually it's one character and one rerun, and the thing is that they both share the same number, as you can see right here. If I do a single pull right here and you're going to see that it lowers here, it also going to lower it here. Okay, this one has its own pity count, which means that you're going to start at 0 and you need to go all the way to 80 or something. I don't know how long it takes for you to get your S rank. Once you get an S rank, it's going to be a guaranteed depending on the character that you select. All right, so let's say you selected Alice, then once you get an S rank, it's going to be guaranteed to be Alice. Oh, but what if I do, I don't know, 40 pulls on Alice, then I change my mind and I want to go for Astra? Then it's fine. All of these three, they share the same pity. All right, so you go from here to 40 here, then you change to Astra. She is already on 40 pity here. All right, and then once you hit Astra, it's going to be guaranteed to be Astra. Okay, so it's fine. You can change between the characters, all these things. It's totally fine. It's just that the very first one is going to be guaranteed, and they don't share pity with the other banners or channels, as the game call it. Okay, two other things is that this is a you have a guaranteed S rank agent here, and you also have a guaranteed S rank engine as well. Okay, your first S rank is going to be guaranteed, and it doesn't consume the guaranteed here. All right, they are both separate. And on top of this, you also have the discount that your first 10 pulls is going to be actually only 8 pulls instead of 10 pulls. This applies once again both for the agent banner and also the weapon banner as well. And they also mentioned here some other things, such as the fact that this discount is not going to carry over for future banners. You cannot stack. So if you want to, you need to spend it right now, you know, on this banner. And same thing with the guaranteed. They are not going to stack. Once they release another exclusive rescreening banner on the same system, it's going to be a new guaranteed. This one that we have right here is not going to be available on a future one. Okay, but don't fall for this if you don't need any of these characters. Okay, at the end of the day, you don't need to pull. It's fine to not pull. Save your pulls for things that actually matter. All right, so let's start by talking about Astra. Okay, because I feel that a lot of you are probably going to pull her, and let's be for real, it's probably the best option out of the three. I have some numbers here talking about Astra, but TLDR about her, she's a really good option for anyone. Anything can make use of her buffs, really generic stuff. The only thing that kind of make really full use of Astra is Rupture agents, Rupture beta teams, and this is because we have exclusive Rupture supports such as Lucia and Pen. They provide sheer force instead of just attack, which is what Astra provides. But everywhere else, she's really good. She's really generic, really great option. The thing about Astra is that you don't play her, period. You just leave her singing in the background, and then you can just focus on your other agents. I know people that love the fact that you don't need to play Astra. I know people that simply hate the fact that you don't need to play Astra. They want to pull a character so they can play the character. In Astra, you're definitely not playing her at all. Okay, but that things aside, gameplay aside, number-wise, she's a pretty massive upgrade when we compare to Lucy. And Lucy is like the most generic support as well.
Once more. I don't want to. But also, I didn't see this girl anywhere else.
And the buffs that she's going to provide, they are pretty much the same one as Astra. This is why I'm using here. I could compare with Nicole, could compare with Rina, but they are providing different stats, different buffs, and at the end of the day, it's not fair to compare if they are not providing the same thing. Okay, so in this case, we have Lucy and we have Astra. They are both providing attack, crit damage once you go for Mindscapes on Lucy, and also they are both using Kaboom, the cannon, here whenever Astra is not using her signature. Okay, and as you can see right here, it is a massive upgrade over Lucy. Okay, the numbers are just really insanely good. And about the signature, yes, you're looking at here right. Okay, Astra with the signature is actually worse than Astra with the signature, and this is, well, specifically for Soldier 11, of course, but this is how it's usually going to look on a lot of different things. Astra's signature is simply not good. Well, it's not good enough. It just provides damage for you, and damage is something that you can find anywhere. Astra herself with Astral Voice can already provide a lot of damage for you, so there's really no point on getting her signature just for either lower damage potential or similar damage potential as Kaboom, the cannon, Lucy's signature. No reason at all, alright? So save your pulse, only get it maybe if you want the hair glow effect, but that's totally wrong. Astra, really good option. Don't get her signature, you don't need it. You can get Alice's signature, for example, which is probably one of the best engines available in this rerun banner, but we're soon going to talk about it. Alright, and for those looking to get Mindscapes, because probably some of you watching this video already have Mindscape 0 Astra, you're asking yourself, should I go for Mindscape 1? Yes, if you have the pulls and there's nothing you plan to pull, it is a great option, simply because Astra Mindscape 1 can provide a huge damage increase for you. For Mindscape 2, for those that already own Mindscape 1 and want to go for Mindscape 2, I don't think it's that worth it. It's still the damage increase, that's for sure. It's extra attack for you. It allows you to change also a little bit of your Astra build and maybe even go for more damage on her, but her damage contribution is definitely not going to be that much, so I don't recommend getting Astra Mindscape 2. It's better for you to either save your pulls or just get someone else instead of going for Mindscape 2. Mindscape 0 to Mindscape 1, really good. Mindscape 1 to Mindscape 2, not so much. Alright. Now, for Alice and Sambi, I'm not going to include calculations. I'm just going to talk a little bit about their gameplay and things, their gameplay. So, starting with Alice, I'm going to be really honest. I don't see a good reason for you to pull Alice by herself. Except the fact that maybe you like the character, all right, because simply she's just another physical anomaly unit, and we have Piper, which is technically one of the best physical anomaly units in the game, and then we have Jane, which was now added to the shop thing. Where is it? The one where you can trade, this one, right? Yeah, here. You can kind of buy extra copies of Jane, maybe in some events that they are going to give that kind of thing, and just by getting extra builds of Mindscape 6, Mindscape 7 of some of your characters as well. Not the reality of a lot of you, right? But Jane exists. Jane is still a physical anomaly unit. So at the end of the day, Alice is just another one. There is one thing though, is that Alice has some really unique mechanics that kind of ignores build-up, which is really cool, but still not enough to justify going for Alice, a premium unit, when with Piper, when this thing right here exists. Alright, if anything, Alice's signature is actually much better than Alice in terms of value for anyone's account. But it's pointless for me to say to you to, oh, just get Alice's signature and play Piper if you hate playing Piper. All right. At the end of the day, the reason why I'm not including calculations here is because there's no reason for me to tell you, hey, Piper is going to deal the same damage as Alice, and then you are going to deadly assault and you're not going to get the same damage. Why? Because probably you don't like playing Piper, because you don't want to optimize your Piper gameplay, and you just much rather play Alice. Alright, so at the end of the day, if you don't like playing Piper and you want a physical anomaly unit, Alice is better than Jane, period. Alright, Piper is equal to Alice, which is both are better than Jane when it comes to just being a physical anomaly unit. There is another exception for Alice, which is the fact that she kind of enables monophysical teams, and this is not for the free-to-play player, because for this we're talking about going for Mindscapes, specifically Mindscape 1 on Alice and Mindscape 2 on Jane. And the reason for this is because you start stacking a lot of defense ignore on your assaults. So this is another multiplier, another source of really good damage increase. Jane and Alice, yes, they have some kind of synergy, but I'm going to be really honest that at Mindscape 0, such as the case of my account, at Mindscape 0, if you're playing Alice with Jane, they are just going to be a side grade to any disorder team. Monophysical is something that is really good if you're looking to invest in Mindscapes of these characters and maximize their damage. If you're just going for baseline at Mindscape 0 with the signature engine, it's not worth it. Alright, so TLDR about Alice, pretty solid anomaly physical unit, but not a huge DPS increase over Piper. If anything, you probably want to get her signature up. Either it is for Alice or it is for Piper, because it's a really good signature engine for physical anomalies. And about Sembi, I have Mindscape 3 Sembi. I don't have Sembi signature. So me personally, I definitely pulling Sembi signature, that's for sure. I am not so sure if I'm pulling any character, but Sembi signature for sure. I am pulling, alright, because yeah, not having Sembi signature was a choice. For those that don't know, my Mindscape 3 Sembi just happened because I was pulling for Pulchra, a Mindscape 6 Pulchra on Sembi release, and well, this happened while pulling for Mindscape 6 Pulchra. It was a total of 144 pulls, and this happened. But yeah, Sembi is good, especially if you have other units that synergizes with Sembi, and by other units I'm talking about Orphe, we don't talk about this, and also Trigger that I don't have. I lost the 50 on both Trigger banner so far. It is what it is. But yes, Sembi is a really good unit when it comes to Aftershock teams, because she increases the damage of other Aftershock units on your team, and this is really good. Okay, I do have guides for Sembi, by the way. Okay, so just borrowing some calculations I'm probably going to put here on the screen for my Sembi guide. All right, Sembi signature is pretty good. The reason why I'm getting Sembi signature is simply because it kind of sucks sometimes to watch someone with Mindscape 0 or even Mindscape 1. It kind of sucks sometimes to watch someone with Mindscape 0 or even Mindscape 1 Sembi with their signature and getting the same damage as me or same score as me. I mean, I know that I have skill issues, but that's roughly the point, you know. Also, I like the effects, all right? So yeah, I'm finally getting my Sembi signature, but TLDR about Sembi is that she's a really good character, assuming that you're playing around the whole archetype. And I'm talking about the whole Aftershock thing. That means you want to get other Aftershock units, so you can use Sembi and get other units to benefit from Sembi, and ideally these other units are also going to provide some sort of effect for Sembi as well, such as the case of Orphe, because Orphe and Sembi together, they just increase the damage of each other. It is really good. Okay, but just Sembi by herself, let's say, oh, I fully Sembi because I want an electric DPS.
Can't hide the truth.
I don't think you need it. Let's be for real. You can just get something else and clear the game. I feel that if you're going for Sembi, it's much better if you already have some of the other Aftershock units, or you're pulling Sembi and then you're going for other Aftershock units later, so you can build a whole Aftershock team around Sembi. Sembi is the one that wants to stay on the field. Everyone else needs to be in the background doing their damage with the Aftershock, such as the case with Trigger and also Orphe as well. Right? If we end up getting another Aftershock unit that wants to stay in the field, trust me, you're not going to be playing Ambi and this other Aftershock unit at the same time, because you need Ambi to be on the field for her buff to take effect and increase the damage of crit damage of other aftershocks on your team. Okay, so at the end of the day, Soldier MB is the unit that wants to stay on the field when it comes to aftershock teams, right? But yeah, I guess that's everything. I feel that this video ended up being a little bit longer than I actually want to. I know that I said that it's not going to yap that much, but I probably end up yapping a little bit more than I expected.
Strength is one of those things where you gotta
it is
use
what it
or
is.
lose
All right, let me know in the comments down below who you're damages Alice, and then you are going to Deadly Assault and you're not going to get the same damage. Why? Because probably you don't like playing Piper, because you don't want to optimize your Piper gameplay, and you just much rather play Alice. All right, so at the end of the day, if you don't like playing Piper and you want a physical anomaly unit, Alice is better than Jane, period. All right, Piper is equal to Alice, which is both are better than Jane when it comes to just being a physical anomaly unit. There is another exception for Alice, which is the fact that she kind of enables monophysical teams. And this is not for the free-to-play player, because for this, we're talking about going for Mindscapes. Specifically, Mindscape 1 on Alice and Mindscape 2 on Jane. And the reason for this is because you start stacking a lot of defense ignore on your assaults. So this is another multiplier, another source of really good damage increase. Jane and Alice, yes, they have some kind of synergy, but I'm going to be really honest that at Mindscape 0, such as the case of my account, at Mindscape 0, if you're playing Alice with Jane, they are just going to be a side grade to any disorder team. Monophysical is something that is really good if you're looking to invest in mindscapes of these characters and maximize their damage. If you're just going for baseline at Mindscape 0 with the signature engine, it's not worth it. All right, so TLDR about Alice, pretty solid anomaly physical unit, but not a huge DPS increase over Piper. If anything, you probably want to get her signature. Either it is for Alice or it is for Piper, because it's a really good signature engine for physical anomaly units. And about Sembi, hi, I have Mindscape 3 Sembi. I don't have Sembi signature. So me personally, I'm definitely pulling Sembi signature, that's for sure. I am not so sure if I'm pulling any character, but Sembi signature for sure. I am pulling, all right, because yeah, not having Sembi signature was a choice. For those that don't know, my Mindscape 3 Sembi just happened because you're looking to invest in mindscapes of these characters and maximize their damage. If you're just going for baseline at Mindscape 0 with the signature engine, it's not worth it. All right, so TLDR about Alice, pretty solid anomaly physical unit, but not a huge DPS increase over Piper. If anything, you probably want to get her signature. Either it is for Alice or it is for Piper, because it's a really good signature engine for physical anomaly units. And about Sembi, hi, I have Mindscape 3 Sembi. I don't have Sembi signature. So me personally, I'm definitely pulling Sembi.
A decade ago, I was a decade younger. And that's around the time that I started subscribing to Drew Gooden on YouTube. In case you couldn't tell from my sentence structuring already, Drew Gooden is one of my greatest comedic inspirations, period. And so when he said the following, I listened.
There's a fun game I've started playing that you too can play if you want to fuck with advertisers a little bit. Instead of ignoring an ad for a product that you don't want, click on it. The algorithm is going to make note of that, and they're going to show that ad to you again. What we're trying to do is get this company to waste their entire ad budget on you without ever getting a sale in return.
Well, Drew, since you said that, I have been. For 3.5 years now. Long past what I assume anyone else has been doing it for. And now my Instagram ads are an unrecognizable nightmare.
If you work the dock, you know the risk.
Missed
Back
Tesla's
injuries,
rise. I
crushed
just made a
limbs,
bold prediction.
repetitive
This one
strain,
will next
physical
happen.
It wasn't always this way. There was a time in which I saw a Nike ad. I remember it like it was yesterday. If only it were, it was 3 years ago. I have not seen a Fortune 500 company advertised to me since 2023. It's 2026 now, by the way. Happy New Year! This isn't completely his fault. The main reason being that
he did not do this, and I did I did do this, but I also took it one step further. You see, at some point early on, I decided not to just click on ads that disinterested me, but instead reserved that action for ads that I truly didn't respect. And there's a feature about the algorithm that Drew didn't really describe in his video. This is how it works. Hi, I'm the algorithm, and I think you're hungry right now, so I think that you should go and try out the kitchen.
Okay.
Look at how much they're doing in there. I better recommend them more kitchens. All this to say, the only things I see on Instagram anymore are ads targeting vulnerable older people or a bunch of AI shit, often about unofficial Trump merch. You could treat this like a disorganized, bastardized version of one of those iceberg charts, see how many of those you can actually get. I'd actually be curious about that. I don't know how often it serves to people my own age or how likely they are. I don't actually know what they use to target people. So it is in fact disorganized. Just know that if you've seen it once, I've seen it 17 times. One big category that I keep on getting recommended is house and home repair. You know, because old people actually have them. Windows, roofing, it doesn't matter. And because old people are completely uncritical about the media that they consume, this is almost always AI.
Get your new roof now. Medford homeowners, stop waiting and get it done with FRS.
Boy, you gotta water a different part of the grass. You're gonna drown it. Also, I don't think you should be worried about the roof. I think you should be worried about your garage, which is actively cockeyed. That seems like an infrastructural problem. Now, there's a chance that you might be like, wait, actually, I get those ads. And I went to school for advertising, so I'm gonna explain this real simple for you. It's because you live in a place. One of the ways advertisers target you, understandably, is by your location if the service is only ever done locally. You know, a California roofing company has no utility for an interested Idahoan. Get cucked, idiot. I'm not having my men go up there. Age is important, but it obviously means absolutely nothing if the location isn't also right. So they target both, but this means that a number of people my age are going in the comments and saying, hey, this is AI slop. And while those people are often well-intentioned, they aren't always the brightest. So bad for your brand. Good luck. Fire your garbage agency. You need to drop them ASAP. This will never convert. I'm sorry. Do you think you just stumbled across a flop? Do you know how long this ad has been running? It's been running for a month. Do you know how quickly ads that aren't converting get shut off? It's instantaneous. Nobody likes spending money on something that isn't working. If you're young enough to identify something as AI slop, you're also not rich enough to afford a new fucking roof. I'm sorry to say it, but me, as an advertiser, again, as an advertiser, I don't give a fuck what you think if you can't pay me $1 in the first place. Now, again, understand, I also can't afford this, but I'm saying this is the way an advertiser would be thinking. Here's another one. Santa!
Is your roof looking older than Santa this Christmas? We're looking for 5 Rhode Island homeowners.
Oh. Santa wants me to buy a roof, but at a discount. And only for 5 families, I better act quick. Also, I found out how these get made.
It works because we handle the entire complex marketing process, and you just pay for the end result.
Oh yeah? The entire complex marketing thing? You type the same 15 prompts into AI over and over again. Shut up. All in all, these are like the least problematic ones I see, which again is saying something. These are still deeply problematic. Generative AI is a cancer for all of the career industries. But, as far as I can tell, they are selling something. The people who are buying the service are actually going to get it. You'll see that my standards are literally Earth's core low. Like, it goes down from here. So just give it a minute. Next up are the timeshare ads. Get out of your timeshare. Who is in a timeshare? Raise your hands. And I'm actually going to bet that this is where most of you tap out. Because unlike the home repair stuff, which targets based off of location as well, These are just looking for chumps that signed up to go to the same Hilton in the 90s that regret it now. So I'm gonna assume unless you've cultured your algorithm to think that you're an octogenarian, they are simply not going after you. And for the same reason as the house repair ads, these are literally always AI because it never impacts their likelihood of making a sale at the end of the day. Because again, old people, which now I think about it is actually kind of weird because this is the exact generation that complains that ads used to be way better, which that's true. But this is worse. like what? The timeshare pitch is also almost always identical, like in terms of its structure and its outline. So I'm gonna play two of them at the same time and just mute the audio for one of them. And you can try to guess which one's which. You won't have any way of knowing. There is no audio cues here.
Timeshare resorts are now under federal investigation. Timeshare contracts across the nation are being canceled with no penalties. If your resort is on this list, you may be able to cancel and get refunded. Tap below to find out.
It was the one on the left, by the way. I don't know which one I put on the left, but whichever one I put on the left, it was that one. Unlike the roofing ones, these never have anyone in the comments acknowledging the fact that this is AI, because of course there's no one under the age of 40 who is there. So instead, those are replaced by a bunch of your parents who are celebrating the fact that the government is finally putting an end to this ridiculous scam. If you couldn't tell by the complete lack of any recognizable news entity that these AI ads are clearly attempting to impersonate, this is not happening, just as it hasn't been happening for the previous 3 decades. The government does not care. It ranks just below renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War. I know it's easy to point and laugh at old people, but I'd like to remind you, this could be tricking your mom, or your grandma, or your aunt, or even the boy versions of those same things. This ad has over 3,000 likes on it, and presumably only some of the old people pressed the button on accident. This is a scam. And the most common way that it manifests is that they will ask for several $1,000s up front before giving the following advice that I am going to give you for $0. Just stop paying the timeshares. This sounds like a bad idea, but the reason that you do this is so that you can leverage the money that the timeshares clearly want to get them to come to the table finally. Now note that I said the following advice and not my advice, because this is called defaulting on your payments. And what will happen is the timeshares will not care. You're still on the hook for all you haven't paid. Your credit score is obliterated. You have a foreclosure on your record, and the company that you just paid for this terrible advice suddenly stops talking to you. So that's why I gave it away for $0. But if you'd like my advice, you'll have to pay me several $1,000s. I'm gonna do a couple of quick reactions to some ads that didn't get their own category in this video, so here we go, rapid fire.
This debt relief program that seniors or anyone carrying over $20,000.
Seniors, or anyone, if you want to give me money, you also can give me money. Do not worry, I'm happy to accept it. But I'm pretty sure this is a scam unless you can convince me otherwise.
Most people questioning its legitimacy either didn't qualify or clicked on one of the many wrong websites circulating out there.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I didn't click the link below this video. We were giving the wrong guy money.
What if I told you that these injuries aren't just bad luck? They are preventable mistakes that could entitle you to millions.
It's not just X, but Y. One quick question though. What if I didn't find out until my child was 8 years old?
And it doesn't matter if you didn't find out until your child was 8 years old.
Oh. Well, that's good. Shout out to this bear ad that has weird editing glitches, 3 different barbecues in the backyard, and says the word chaos twice.
It's chaotic. It's chaos.
This was really just an excuse to talk about the tell of using the word chaos from AI models. They love that word. If you see the word chaos, it's not a promise, but it could be if it shows up multiple times, which it does. Here's an unclickable link. What the hell, sure. This guy clicks on anything, right? Next category is Trump coins. I think this is my favorite category. I'm gonna be straight up front.
My wife called me a gullible Trump supporter when I told her I got this Trump survivor coin for free. But when that box arrived, she shut her mouth and made me a sandwich.
Excuse me? Sorry, I was blown out of my chair by a huge win for the "my wife is my kitchen property" crowd. Continue on, sir. What were you saying?
Right now, the America Resurgence Association is giving a free Trump Survivor coin to every proud patriot tuning in.
Wow! And can my real coin have all of the words garbled on it like this one does?
And yes, the libs are completely losing their minds over it, as you can see from those hilarious emotional reaction videos blowing up online.
Yeah, is that right? Is that why your example footage is AI generated based off of an image from Trump's first election? You gotta be kidding me, man. I would be embarrassed for liberals if that were the case. So I looked it up, and you're gonna be shocked. I couldn't find anyone who cared that you spent money on getting a coin, if that ever has happened one time.
So why does this coin matter? On July 13th, 2024, the radical left came at President Trump with barbaric violence. Instead, it backfired, proving that God is real.
That's God's work? I owe several employees at my local Walmart an apology.
Normally $49.97, but right now, the America First Initiative is giving them away free. You just do this short 3-question quiz and cover shipping with your U.S. address.
We're doing a promotion here at McDonald's where you can get a free McDonald's. All you have to do is answer 3 questions. Oh, really? That's awesome. And then pay. Sorry, what? You just have to answer 3 questions? No, did you just say I have to pay? Sir, I didn't say anything like that. Okay, yeah. Question number 1. What's your favorite credit card number?
If you visit this website, it's not actually all that interesting. They have high quality metals, which I'm sure means gold. They've all the answer, plug and play activity, which is more than I even bargained for. I was not expecting that from my Trump coin. And of course, the ability to spend a minimum of $9 and a maximum of 200 of them. Of course, this is far from the only one. If you want options, you have them. Here's a Bitcoin themed one, and they actually got Trump himself to go ahead and narrate this ad.
Hello, everyone.
And if this one interests you more, they're doing a 70% sale on it for Black Friday, despite the fact that this ad was uploaded on January 1st. I'm sure you'll really actually get something. And the fact that Trump looks photoshopped onto the coin is just a coincidence. And when it arrives, I'm sure it will be with high quality metal. This one certainly will. It's 99.9% silver. And they're selling 5 of them for $149. To be clear, 5 ounces of silver of this purity would sell for $300. Non-negotiable. That's the minimum you would pay. And they are selling a 5-pack of 5-ounce silver coins at almost 100% purity for half of that price. So you, the viewer, would be stupid not to be buying into this. Also, if this were real, it would have a minter name and a serial code, which weirdly is absent, but I'm sure that's just coincidence. They just haven't updated the site to include who their minter is. And I also checked the reviews on this website and was shocked to see that they actually do have a 1-star review until I clicked on it and found it read, "How can you sell a solid silver 5-ounce coin for less than the cost of 1 ounce of silver? It's amazing. Yeah, it is, Rob. It's unbelievable." Luckily, if it does turn out to be a scam, there's a 60-day money-back guarantee, but also, all sales are final. Also, I love that this website is out of stock for 1 and 3 coins, but miraculously has the inventory for 5 or 10 coins. I consider this to be the least harmful one. If you are stupid enough to buy this, you deserve yourself. I'm sorry, Mom. Not my mom. My mom rules. Last off for today, we have scam recovery scams, and those videos sound like this.
Have you been scammed? Have you been scammed?
So you're a
Have you been scammed? Victim of Have you been scammed? Victim of a
Yo tengo una compañía. Are you a gamer who wants to compose your own music? I'm running a free
This was not edited. If you thought I was kidding about how bad my algorithm is, perhaps this helps you understand. Unlike the previous entries ads, I decided to actually go down the rabbit hole myself, effectively self-sacrificing 4 hours of my time for 4 hours of theirs. And I will now be sharing with you what 4 hours of engaging with a scam looks like. Cue jazz music. Do not read this part, Zachary. The text in brackets is not for you to read. What? Clicking the call to action button immediately brings me to a WhatsApp chat where it has already filled out "Hi there" in all caps. Nice. They let me know that regardless of what scam I've fallen victim to, they are more than happy to make it worse. How much did you lose? $50,032. It was not nice. Do you have any proof? Yes. Please send this to court. And then I sent a screenshot of my Coinbase account because it was a wise man who plays the fool, but they don't do it. Not yet. Because this guy is actually not my lawyer. To speak to my lawyer, I have to click on this link to speak to him over Telegram, because that's where lawyers talk. Hi, I've been matched with Michael James Fucci, and this is in fact a real person, and he has had a long and extensive career working for the Department of Defense. War. Department of War. I need to stop dead naming the Department of War. It's just that this is not Michael James Fucci. Which I'm fairly certain of, given that a single Google search of his name brings me to his LinkedIn page, which proudly displays the fact that he is now retired. Good thing my only purpose in this is to waste this guy's time and not to recover money that I don't have, because otherwise, it would be a waste of my time. It still is a waste of my time, but at least I'm self-aware about it. So that means I didn't lose 4 hours of my time. Fuck it. He sends me a link to the attorney license search to California to prove his legitimacy, even though that's just I could send you the same link. Well, whatever. And when I ask for his practice's name, he sends me this certificate, which proves that the state Bay of California affirms that he's satisfied the requirements to practice a seat recovery. So I should be safe here. But unfortunately, what this doesn't state is the practice's name, which you might recall 15 seconds ago is what I asked for, which is presumably something that this imposter simply does not understand. Okay, sir. Then after I accept your case, you can't go to other law firms anymore. Because if two lawyers investigate
I'll go around what?
It's been getting quite recently. It's been getting quite busy recently. Welcome. How can I help you? It's been getting quite busy recently. It's been getting quite busy recently. Welcome. How can I help you? Today's recommendation is the steak. Welcome. How can I help you? Getting quite busy recently. The neighboring nation has the most prosperous commercial recommendation is the steak.
The neighboring nation of Liyue has the most prosperous commercial port in all of Tibet.
Today's recommendation is the steak.
Okay, let's see. I did this, I did that. 5 days. Looks like I'm just gonna crash and sleep.
Welcome. How can I help you? Welcome. How can I help you?
Strength is one of those things where you gotta use it or lose it. So, wanna train with me sometime?
Welcome. How can I help you? The neighboring nation of Liyue has the most prosperous commercial port in all of Tibet.
Okay. It feels like I did everything. Would have.
Come take a look. Something that catches your eye.
Oh, let's use it. Alright. I'm gonna return to the stuff for a bit.
Starry night, starry night. The loving mother
Jump over the railings. Annoying. Please give me. Oh, come on. Well, at least one bonding chip. Let's see the previous ones. sense. You're just a passerby. Alright. On 20. Oh. Really, no. So I need to get closer to here. Definitely closer to here. It's way too far off. Okay, that's also fine, but I'm not going to talk to you all right now, yet. 5 days, 1 day. Okay. So 5 days, 1 day, and 12 days. We'll just wait a bit. Okay. $58. Divine Maze. 8 days. I don't care. We're gonna go there and do it once more. In 2 minutes time.
The title is not clickbait. I actually really dislike sensationalism, so I'm gonna tell you off the...
I'm declaring it Fun February, and I'm just gonna make whatever video I feel like would be fun at the moment. And right now, for fun, I'm reading about the fall of the Roman Empire, which is fun. I mean, why not? Did you know that the Romans had banks? Of course you knew that. Of course they did. They had money, so they had banks, right? Like, you go to the museum and you see all the coins, and you can lay them out like chronologically, and you see the different generals and the different territories and all that. They had metal money, so of course they had banks. Because if you're some rich Roman, you're not gonna drive to some palatial estate with carts and carts and carts of metal cash and exchange that for the keys to the palatial estate, right? That's insane. Of course, you would have some sort of intermediary, and that person would have all your money in an account, and they would draw up some sort of contract, and they would exchange the money from one account to another account, and you would get the keys to the estate or whatever. If you have money, you have banks, you have lending and banking as job. And of course they did. Of course they had banks. Everyone would know that. I definitely knew that. I didn't just learn that recently, of course. And if you have banking, you have lending as a job. And the thing about having a job is that you do it for money so that you can buy food, right? So banks don't just hold your money and move it around for free. They charge you fees, usually in the form of interest on loans. So you're a Roman and you want a loan for 1,000 monies in whatever unit that is. You could go find a lender and he would be like, of course, I will give you 1,000 monies today and I will charge you 5% interest and you will pay me back every month a certain amount for the 10 months in the year. I've heard that Romans had a 10-month calendar briefly, but they did, and that's fun. That's why I bring it up now. And we know that the Romans could do that math, and we will also do that math right now. I had dreams. I had dreams of a giant chalkboard that I could write on, because I think that that's way more fun. But those dreams won't be realized because I don't know where to buy a giant chalkboard. Instead, I will do some iPad math. Great. Yeah, okay, so let's say you want to calculate the monthly payment. To do that, that's going to be equal to the loan amount plus the loan amount times the interest, all divided by like the number of payments. So if we're saying there's 10 months in a year, it would be 10 payments, right? So if you get loaned 1,000 Roman monies at 5% interest over a calendar year of 10 months, it looks like that. And we can just do that math. 105 monies per month. So you get your 1,000 monies today, you end up paying in total 1,050 monies. 5% interest on 1,000 is 50. Cool. I know a lot more about the history of math than I do about the history of absolutely anything useful, and I know that the Romans could do that simple math, of course. So they must have had loans with interest, of course. They could have, done math way more complicated than that even. Also, of course, when you go back in time and you look at the history of interest, there are like tablets from Mesopotamia with people doing compound interest.
Now, the important thing from the history of finance is that the bill was calculated with a compounding formula, compounding interest of about 33.33% per year, and it amounted to a number that is 144,000 gur of barley. That's a quantity of barley that was used in the fields, and this number actually is an amount of barley that right now is about 45 billion hectoliters of barley. So it's an impossible number. And it was an impossible number because the city just wanted to say, look, you owe us so much money that you're never going to be able to pay it back.
Compound interest is, interest on interest. So if you get charged interest on your loan, that is added to the principal, and the next interest amount is calculated from that total. Of course, the Mesopotamians could do compound interest, so of course the Romans had banks, you ding dong. And I think compound interest is really interesting. Jesus Christ. I'm not handling it. Compound interest is really interesting, and the formula is a lot more complicated than that of simple interest. Simple interest, when you charge only interest on the principal. Compound interest is when, in addition to charging interest on the principal, you charge interest on the interest. So simple interest is simple. The formula looks like this. Compound interest, much more complicated. The formula looks like this. And it's just more complicated because you take the interest that has been accumulated and you add that back into the principal. So the time factor is really important when you're calculating compound interest. So if your savings account has a compound interest formula, yay, you're making so much money. Oh my God, if your loan, if the money you've borrowed is subject to compound interest, oh shit. Oh fuck, I hope those exponential graphs are on top of my face. Oh my God. Because the interest, like, it just keeps growing and growing. And if you miss a payment, suddenly, oh no, you have $105 added in, and the interest is now added on top of that every time. And then, oh God, what if you miss debtor's prison, is what I'm saying. That's what compound interest is.
Finance is a technology. It's a way of doing things, and sometimes technologies can be used for good and sometimes for evil.
You know those dumb finance bros? They'll be like, here's my financial advice. Take that $50,000 you just have lying around. You know, you just have that. Find a compound interest savings account. Somewhere there is a bank willing to give you 6% interest of compound interest. Slap the $50,000 in there, wait 60 years, and then bingo, bango, bingo, $1.6 million. That's my financial advice. And it's just like, in this economy, who's got $50,000 sitting around, bro? Where are you getting 6% interest rates? Tell me that. Because I'll tell you what, for free, I don't think you have $1.6 million. But seriously, also, I hope you never get interested in compound interest, because if you start looking on YouTube for fun little videos about the history of compound interest, all you will find are 5,000 independent AI generated garbage trash channels all making the exact same short about some dude being like, give me a grain of rice for every square on a checkboard. Oh my God, exponentials are so crazy. Isn't this an interesting video? Like, why are all the AI channels making the same video? Who's watching it? Who is that for? We can just look at plots of exponentials. I don't understand. Did the Romans do compound interest though? Isn't that a fun and interesting question for Fun February? I think so. Try to guess if they did. And then we'll tootle on over to Wikipedia and check if they did. What I think is really interesting about reading history, like something like the fall of Rome, every historian will have a different angle to attack that with, a different this is the thing that made Rome fall, right? If they're a military historian, they'll be like, it was this battle, it was this decision by this emperor to do this to their army. If they're an agriculture historian, it'll be like this environmental event caused the fall of Rome. If they're into textiles, they'll be like the treatment of garment workers led to the fall of Rome, and they're all wrong, right? But they're also all kind of right. You can't pinpoint one thing and be like, this is what caused it. But it's interesting to frame your telling of history that way, because you get a nice bigger picture. Anyway, one of the things that people like to say led to the fall of Rome was the infinite taxes caused by the infinite wars, leading to economic instability. So Rome raises the taxes because they need to pay the army, because they need to fight the fight. And the people, especially the people who have seasonal jobs or jobs that depend on some sort of training they have to get, so they can't work until they get the training, would take out these loans from these wealthy people who were scamming the system with these insane interest rates. And they would be promised hey, you'll complete your training and then you'll be able to pay back the loan because you'll be able to get a job and you'll be able to pay your taxes and everything's going to be great. Just take this huge loan that you will never ever be able to pay back, and then you just have wage slavery, right?
Finance is a technology. It's a way of doing things, and sometimes technologies can be used for good and sometimes for evil.
Leads to economic failure and the breakdown of society when you saddle young people with all these huge loans that they can never, ever, ever pay back, right? And this is called usury, like giving loans with completely unfair interest rates that are intended not to help the borrower, but instead line the pockets of the lender. And this is illegal in a lot of civilizations and a lot of religions because it really hurts people who are just trying to better themselves. It's immoral and wrong, right? That's why religions often ban it. But if we go to the Wikipedia page for compound interest, we will see that according to Roman law, I mean, not all Roman law, Rome was long, right? But Roman law, at some point, banned compound interest, describing it as usury, unfair to the borrower, immoral, and incorrect to saddle the young people with these giant loans that they'll never pay back. And of course, as Rome starts losing its ability to govern its people, that's when the rich people came in and started giving these loans, which led to the fall of Rome, depending on who you ask and what lens you're looking through. There's this quote from Cicero where he's having a conversation with like a dude and Cato, and someone asks Cato what he thinks of usury, and Cato responds, "What do you think of murder?"
Guillotine versus watermelon.
And that's fun. But what brings me here today, what I would like to share with you, again, let's look at this Wikipedia page of compound interest. And there's a very interesting sentence, a real head kicker, I would say. Let me read it to you. Jacob Bernoulli discovered the constant E in 1683 by studying a question about compound interest. That's a wild fucking ride, right? Jacob Bernoulli discovered the constant E in 1683 by studying a question about compound interest. Let's take it step by step. Jacob Bernoulli, of the Bernoulli brothers, of course we know Jacob Bernoulli, the Bernoulli brothers. I don't know why I'm doing like Mario. The Bernoullis, of course, Swiss. Jacob Bernoulli is rare though, rare to see. There are 3 Bernoullis, right? You have Jacob, Johann, they're brothers, and then Johann's son, Daniel Bernoulli. And Nicholas Bernoulli, a nephew of Jacob and Johann, is just in the corner like, hey, it's not fair I died from TB before I could publish my work. I might have been famous too. But like no one cares, Nicholas Bernoulli. So Jacob, huge guy in math. I called him rare because I'm a physicist. I don't usually see Jacob Bernoulli. When I think Jacob Bernoulli, I think about like probability, like the math associated with that, like chance, stochastic motion, that kind of thing. I don't really expect to see him in a context where I would be learning about him. Not that I don't like probability, real fun, but I'm like more of a spectator and not a participator in that field, if you know what I mean. Jacob Bernoulli is the elder brother of Johann Bernoulli. So Jacob Bernoulli goes and gets his PhD and he starts training his brother Johann in math. They worked together. Like they discovered the work of Leibniz, am I saying that correct? And Leibniz calculus as opposed to Newton's version of calculus. And they were huge proponents and they realized immediately how important it would be and they started working on calculus. And they were both these brilliant mathematicians, Jacob and Johann, and they started getting in these little tiffs, these little fights about who should get credit for what, and who's publishing first, and whose name goes first. And that's another reason my Mario joke doesn't really work, because Johann is such a jerk. He's such an asshole to Jacob. He wants all the credit for all the work, and Luigi would never treat Mario that way, right? And Johann Bernoulli just really, really loves to get in fights about credit. He is like the instigator, the little poker in this Newton-Leibniz fight about who invented calculus. And I just don't understand that. Maybe it's because I will never be in the position to take credit for inventing a new kind of math. But like, boys, Newton, Leibniz, we see you. We see both of you. It's fine. People can work on math. It's fine. Why do you need all the credit? Who cares? But what's kind of funny is that Johann Bernoulli is constantly talking about this. From his earliest days of being a mathematician, he's like, Jacob is stealing all my work. And then he's like, and Newton's stealing your work, Leibniz. But what's really funny is that Johann Bernoulli had this student called William L'Hopital. Have you heard of him? He's a mathematician. He wrote a book about calculus that was incredibly famous. And inside of it, there was something called L'Hopital's rule. You know of it. Should we do one? If I had a little chalkboard, I could just do it. Let's do L'Hopital's rule first, as I remember it. Okay, imagine you have the limit of x as it goes to 0, and your function is going to be sine of x over x. Great. This is a problem, right? Because the sine of x is 0, and x, if x is going to 0, is 0. And this is bad. Oh shit, we have an indeterminate limit. 0 divided by 0 is nonsense and doesn't make sense. L'Hopital saves the day. He says you can take the derivative of the numerator, you can take the derivative of the denominator, and take that limit, and that limit will be identical. And so this is indeterminate. We must use this rule to actually take this limit. Yeah. So we can do the limit of x goes to 0 of the derivative of sine of x over the derivative of x, and that gives us the limit as x goes to 0 of cosine, oh no, there we go, cosine x over 1. And cosine of 0 is 1, so this gives us 1 over 1, which gives us 1, which we can use, and that's normal math, and we know that that's a thing that makes sense instead of 0 over 0, which doesn't make sense. That's L'Hopital's rule. You remember it from calculus, I'm sure. I should Google that to make sure that that's right. Okay, anyway, everyone learns that. Day 2 of calculus. You remember that rule in your head. When you come upon a situation where you have an indeterminate thing, you're like, haha, L'Hopital's rule. Of course, except the first person to write down L'Hopital's rule, Bernoulli, and he did it long before L'Hopital. And in L'Hopital's textbook, he's like, thanks so much, Bernoulli, you did great. And then he just proceeds to use all the stuff. And so it's very funny that a man who was so concerned about credit actually had the credit stolen from him. And like, even not really. It's just people started calling it L'Hopital's rule. L'Hopital didn't do that. And I'm kind of glad that that's not called Bernoulli's rule, because there's already too many Bernoulli things, mostly because of Daniel Bernoulli. So again, you see this sentence with Jacob Bernoulli, and I'm like, rare to see Jacob Bernoulli. That's because in physics, it's always Daniel Bernoulli. Daniel Bernoulli did his whole hydrodynamica. He did Bernoulli's principle relating like flow pressure to speed and like height and stuff. Daniel Bernoulli was close friends with Leonard Euler, and they worked together on like elasticity and deformation and stuff. They were both students of Johann Bernoulli, and all that energy, all that haterade, and started focusing it on these two boys, and he was like, now y'all are stealing my stuff. And it's very funny and very silly, because Euler is just so prolific that like there's no way he would have to be stealing from everyone. The math that guy did, it was crazy. Also, I learned this while researching for this video, but Daniel Bernoulli also worked a lot in probability and statistics, which I didn't know because again, I don't read up on that a lot. I should, I guess that'd be interesting. Anyway, Daniel Bernoulli was the first person to model diseases. He made a like simple model of smallpox and smallpox inoculation, and he used that as an argument for people to get vaccinated against smallpox, saying it would save this number of lives. It's worth it for the government to make this happen and everyone get vaccinated, which is really cool. Anyway, let's get back to the show. Jacob Bernoulli discovered the constant E in 1683 by studying a question about compound interest. Jacob Bernoulli, that's rare because I expect Daniel Bernoulli, of course, but discovers the constant E. That's interesting. E is called Euler's number. It's the same Euler that was friends with Daniel Bernoulli. So it is kind of interesting that Euler gets the naming of a constant that was discovered 22 years before he was born. But in this case, it's kind of like Jacob Bernoulli discovers it and he's like, oh, that's interesting. And then Euler, who's like just one of the most prolific mathematician who's ever existed, uses E in his study of calculus, like as the exponential function. He really defined calculus the way we use it, like his notation with like f of x and cosine of x and e to the x and like drawing the integral is all due to him and the way he set it up, and like now that's the standard way to do it. What gets me here is the word discovers. Jacob Bernoulli discovers. It is a natural number, like pi. You come upon it. Math is a language, right? It is not discovered. It is a tool we use to like attack problems. Math is not discovered. It's like harnessed. Humans do proofs and logic to develop these mathematical tools to study problems, but they...
Sorry, Angela, but I disagree with you. Discovering and coming upon is literally the same. In this context, because you need to come upon it and then ratify somehow the fact that this something exists and has those specific properties. Anyway, I guess I'm actually going to sleep. Oh.
I'll show you my real value this time.
So that's going to be it for this stream. Look, fun, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.